Hello.
Extremely poor, and the medical facilities are poor. We operate a predatory neo-colonial capitalist system which is founded on fraud and exploitation, and therefore you are bound to have corruption.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the second official episode of NAIJATOAMERICA. You may have noticed we changed our channel name from Coming to America to Naija to America. That's just because we realized Coming to America was not the smartest name. So,
well,
when you're trying to find us, it's difficult to find us.
Yeah, it fits what we wanted to do, but there's a popular movie called Coming to America. So whenever you search for Coming to America, that comes up first. And it's going to be hard to brand ourselves with the movie being so popular, and we just don't want to have to do with that competition, you know.
Yeah, but I mean, the information is still relevant for everybody, even if you're not Nigerian, as long as you're African, even if you're not African. I think you'll still find some of the information we'll share relevant, as long as your goal is to come to America to study or to move here permanently. The information is relevant. So welcome anybody to the second episode. On this episode we're going to go deeper into like shortlisting schools. So in the last episode we covered a bunch of things. We talked about in the last episode. We covered schools, applying to schools, exams, timelines, and all that good stuff. But in this episode we're going to go into more detail of shortlisting schools and what to consider when you're looking for schools to come to the US. So, are you excited?
Yep. So, first on our list, you have to consider whether or not you want to go to a public or a private school. It's not really something that a lot of people consider, but there is a difference. First of all, in terms of tuition, or let me explain the difference first. So, a public school is usually owned by the state. They get their funds from the state, and so the tuition is subsidized at an overall level. But for private schools, they run mainly on tuition and grants. It's not government funded, meaning it's more expensive. But the upside to that is that most private schools have access to more grants and scholarships because their alums are giving them money, and you have a higher chance of getting scholarships at a private school than at a public school.
Especially if you're dealing with a public school in a state that has no budgets.
If you want to know which state we're in, Google the state without the budget.
That hasn't had a budget for like 3 years.
Well, they do this year.
Now they have a budget.
They do this year, but like the past 3 years, they did not have a budget. So you don't want to be in a state like this.
I mean, you can be here, but it affects a lot of the funding you receive. So.
And public schools are generally bigger, meaning that you can have 70,000 kids and you can be lost in the ocean of people. Meanwhile, private schools are usually smaller and they have smaller class sizes. You get one-on-one attention with the professors, and those good things that come with private schools. But public schools have more majors than private schools in general.
Typically.
So if you are looking for a school where you have a lot of options, you don't really know what you want to do yet, going to public school you'll get exposure to a lot of majors and get to know what you want to do.
Yeah, when we say public-private school, it's not like one is better than the other. It's just like, don't think about it with respect to Nigeria, where like the public schools are
usually bad. In general,
like the standard of education is all the same. It's just with private schools, they tend to have more money just because they're private schools, they're privately owned, so they have there's more emphasis in the way they are run, and then the alums donate more money. But it doesn't take away from like the standard of education. Think about like the University of Illinois or University of typically where you hear University of, most times they would be
public school,
but not all the time. But there are like minor differences. It doesn't really matter in terms of which way you study. It just depends on.
It's really up to you and your personal preference. But in terms of financial aid, always talk to your financial aid office. For public schools, they probably tell you to apply to FAFSA, which as an international student you probably wouldn't be eligible for. So for private school, talk to them about the financial aid that they have. Usually they have good financial aid packages. So that's the only thing to consider. But really, it's up to you at the end of the day.
What other funding opportunities are available for like public versus private? So are there any funding opportunities? You went to a private school. You went to a private school, I went to a public school. Are there any funding opportunities that you have? Say like you don't have?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't know if you don't have them, but I can tell you what I have, and then if
I think it's generally the same though.
do you have access to private loans from the school?
Not that I know.
Yeah. So part of the financial aid package that I got, actually, I had you can get a scholarship, merit based or need based. I think we have like we're still going to go into that actually, but you can also get work study. And you can get a private loan from the school. I don't think public schools have access to private loans.
I don't think so.
But for private schools, they can give you a private loan, and you pay it off when you're done school and after your grace period, just like you would a normal loan. But I guess because you're paying it directly to the school, it's not as bad, and I think the interest rates are slightly lower. Maybe wrong.
I mean, typically you can still, so even though the public schools might not give you a loan or might not set you up on a private loan, you can. So I know people who went to like public school and they did their own research and got like their own loan providers and all that. So it doesn't stop you from getting the loan.
As an international student, though, but you need to get a guarantor.
Yeah, you need to get a
You
guarantor.
need to get a permanent resident or citizen to be a guarantor. If you do not have access to that, going for a private loan from your school will probably be your best option, because you don't need any form of guarantee or any form of security to get that. You basically just need to be a student and have a financial need. So yeah, that's that. In conclusion, private versus public is really up to you. You need to weigh what you want out of your time in school, and you need to weigh where you are from a financial perspective and see if going to a public school where you may not have as much financial aid is your best option.
I don't remember. Did we mention that private schools are more expensive?
Yeah, we did. Private schools are generally more expensive.
They're more expensive.
But the thing though is that most of people
That's
that
the
go to private schools don't pay the entire thing. Like if you pay the entire thing, I'm pretty sure there are people that went to my school that paid the entire thing. But in general, most people don't pay the entire thing.
Yeah, and I think generally people opt for like public schools. So with public schools, then you have like the state schools, the state-owned schools, and then you have the flagship schools. So for like a University of, I don't want to use University of Illinois, but University of Illinois is the flagship school. Then you have other universities that are also run by the state. So there's Illinois State, there's Northern Illinois,
University of Illinois, Champaign, University of Illinois, Chicago.
Those are like they're all run by the states. I'm just trying to give a high level example.
Is UIC run by the state?
Yeah.
I don't know.
UIC is not University of Chicago is a private school.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
University of Illinois Chicago is the state. So you know how there's
UIC is a private school. Is that what you said?
There's University of Chicago.
Yeah.
There's University of Illinois Chicago.
Okay, yeah. UIC, yeah. Okay.
So so it just depends. But they are all technically run by the states. But I don't think there's any. But my point was University of Illinois is generally more expensive because it's a flagship school and because it's a higher ranked school. It's more expensive. It would be more expensive than a Northern Illinois University.
You mean U of I?
Yeah, U of I.
Okay, so there are different. Okay, also within public schools there are different ranks. So some public schools are ranked higher than others. U of I is
like
a
higher
very good school. And then the other ones, they're good schools, but they don't have as much prestige as U of I.
So typically the flagship schools, or so University of Illinois, University of Maryland, University, those are like the flagship schools. They will typically be more ranked than the other schools in the state, and that's just because they receive the higher percentage of funding from the states than the other schools.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
I didn't know that.
That's why they're called flagship schools. So yeah, but I think those are just like minor details. I didn't even realize like all those details until maybe I came here and I realized some of the schools that I was applying to were private schools. I didn't know. You just realize that the tuition is more expensive. That's where it comes into play. So the public versus private. I think the really big thing is tuition, and then probably the size of the school.
Yeah.
Other than that,
I'll say in general, just look at research the school that you're going to and determine if they are public or private. And depending on what you decide to go for, choose. Another thing to consider in NAIJA is funding. In general, schooling in America is quite expensive, and even for Americans that live here and their parents live here, it's still quite expensive, and most of them take out loans to go to college. But that shouldn't stop you from your dreams of coming to America to study. There are many opportunities and ways that people pay for college here, and so that's what we're going to cover now. And first is scholarships. I'm sure you've heard of scholarships. Usually they're merit-based or need-based, but either way they go hand in hand in the sense that you need to have worked hard, have good grades, and also have a need for you to get a scholarship. So for most schools, especially private schools, they offer scholarships and they actually offer good financial packages. Most people that go to all those expensive schools, they don't pay for everything out of pocket. Yeah. So they get scholarships, and that's one way to pay for your education.
Even public schools, I think schools generally have scholarships. It just depends on
I feel like public schools don't have enough money.
Well,
to give you a good scholarship package. Like,
what would you consider a good scholarship package?
Where I cover at least half of my tuition.
Okay.
It's like public schools will give you 3,000 out of 20,000. What is that doing for me, please? What is 3,000 doing for me?
It's something.
Yeah, no.
but the scholarships are available.
Yeah, they're
available. Pay everything completely out of pocket.
Yeah. But I mean, even after you start, you can join organizations. A lot of the black
professional
engineers.
organizations, There's National Society for Black Engineers, National Association of Black Accountants. Depending on your major or your program, there might be a professional organization assigned to it or aligned to it. And typically, if you are part of those organizations, some of them will offer scholarships which you can qualify for and which you can apply for, which can also go towards your school as well. Yeah. Even some social fraternities and sororities offer scholarships as well, but you still need to apply, you need to qualify, and usually it goes back to you having good grades. Yep. So have good grades. And if you're elected into an honor society as well, there are also professional fraternities. So I was part of something called Omicron Delta Epsilon. I don't know any other one. There's Beta Gamma Sigma. I think that's the business one. Those ones could also offer. They could also offer some scholarships as well.
Yeah.
But the thing with scholarships, you need to go out and do research and look for who's offering scholarships. And they won't necessarily put it in your face. You have to go out and research and see what's available and what you qualify for and what you can apply for. So scholarships is one.
Then the next one is grants. So grants, usually you need to already be in school and then be doing some kind of research or something that is funded by the government or a private organization for you to qualify for grants. And usually the money for grants are not a lot. They usually go towards a specific project for a specific period of time. You just won't get a grant to go to school.
I honestly don't know a lot of people who have funded their education through grants. But the few that I know of that I've heard about are usually in like the research fields who are working on research. So that's another option if you're looking to go into research. The third option of funding education is through assistantships, but this will typically apply for grad students. So if you're coming to do your master's or your PhD, you can fund your education through a graduate assistantship. The graduate assistantship could either be a teaching assistantship or a research assistantship. A teaching assistantship is where you will be teaching typically first year students or second year students. With a research assistantship, you will be working with a professor on a research topic and research on somebody in your department, or generally a professor working on research. And with assistantships, you get paid a stipend that's just enough to cover like your day-to-day, your basic needs, depending on if you are in a wealthy program, not wealthy program. If you're in a program that has a lot of funding, a well-sponsored program, you will get more. And then typically, depending on the school, assistants, if you have an assistantship, you will get some portion of your tuition covered. Some schools cover all of your tuition, most schools cover some portion of your tuition. But I was able to fund most of my education through assistantships. A lot of my friends funded their education through assistantships, but you have to apply. And in some cases, you don't get it immediately. You have to come here first.
Do one semester.
Do a semester. So you have
prove your worth.
Prove your worth. Show them what you can do. Get good grades, and then you can qualify for an assistantship. But I would suggest when you are reaching out to people, if you are when you are doing your preliminary investigation research, and you're asking questions, ask about the as a master's student, ask about funding of opportunities available, and ask about if assistantships are an option in the school.
Yeah.
And then ask how you can apply, and ask what the assistantship covers. I don't think it's worth it to go take an assistantship that doesn't cover any portion of your tuition. It should cover at least, even if it's 10% or 15%, it should cover some portion of your tuition. So yeah,
I think the key to financial aid in general, we're going to cover it soon more, but before we move on, the key to financial aid in general is asking. To be honest, they can tell you that we don't, oh, this is the amount that we give, and then you ask them, oh, please, I need some more money, blah, 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 and they'll give you more. That actually happened to me, and you get more money.
I think that's a hack for America.
That's actually a hack for America. Like,
if you don't
open
ask
your
for
mouth,
anything, you will not get
it. Like, even at work, if you don't ask for opportunities, you will not get the opportunities.
You won't get
if you don't ask.
So
I mean, sometimes, obviously, like, if you, or there are no opportunities or like things like promotion, obviously you deserve it and it's your time. So, yeah, you will get promoted. But having opportunities that might not be readily available to everybody else, ask questions in America.
They come to America, that's one thing to learn about America. You need to ask. I think in Nigeria, we're not trained to ask enough questions. We sweep a lot of things under the rug.
I just assume that that's how
it is. Just assume that that's how it is. So especially when you're dealing with older people, you feel like you don't want to be seen as disrespectful.
No.
Whereas in this country, it's not seen that way. If you don't ask, they assume that you are okay with this.
Yeah, they assume that
so you have to ask. And I mean, there's no harm in asking. The worst they can tell you is no. So
it's okay. It's just the first of many rejections.
So yeah.
Okay, then the other funding option they have, speaking of working also, you can get a work study. So most schools offer some kind of work study package for international students where you work on campus for a limited number of hours. So by law, you are restricted to 20 hours. The school I went to restricted you for that to 10 hours during the semester. And keep in mind that you're working for like minimum wage, which is it's $8.75 or something, or $10. So international student life is a struggle.
It's a struggle,
especially if your parents are like sending you pocket money every month or something. So that's one way to maintain your personal expenses while your tuition and all of that is covered by scholarships. And then the last option, did you want to say something?
Wait, along those lines, you might be wondering if you are allowed, what the work opportunities are that are available while you are in school. So in America is different from like Canada, where if you are doing research in like both countries, Canada allows you to work outside of campus. In America, no, you're restricted to working legally on campus, and you're restricted to working 20 hours a week. So any other outside work without permission is considered illegal technically. So you can only work on campus, and your school would. I mean, most schools would have, unless you go to a very, very small school. I don't see why they want job openings available in your school. It's just that you might not get paid very much. You might get paid minimum wage, which is like, depending on your state, it's between like $8.50 and $75 an hour. Some states I think are like $10 an hour, but that's probably because the standard of living is higher.
Yep.
But you won't get paid a lot. But it should be okay to take care of your basic needs and your
like personal needs.
Take care of like your rent and all that. I personally have friends who didn't get assistantships, who didn't get any funding, and they came here and do like their own campus jobs. They were able to take care of their needs and save money. Obviously, that wasn't all that they used to pay their tuition, but it was able to tide them while they sought other options. So you are allowed to work. You just have a restriction on how long you can work and where you can work. So take that into consideration as well.
And then finally, you also get loans. So usually loans are from the school. So you take a private loan from your school and then you pay back when you're done. The upside to that is that as opposed to getting a loan from a bank where you need someone to co-sign your loan, usually you will need a permanent resident or a US citizen to co-sign your loan if you're trying to get a loan from a bank. For private loans that come from the school, you don't need to have any of that. So you just need to be a student in the school and maintain. I don't know if you actually need to maintain a certain grade. I don't think so. It's mainly for like if you have a need.
You prove that you can pay back.
Yeah.
So that's where.
I didn't know you get a job after.
So with your private loans in school, you don't need a guarantor.
You don't need a guarantor. It comes as part of your financial aid package, and so I think they would expect you to pay back after, obviously, but You just need to be a student and you need to have a need.
I don't know that all schools offer that. So depending, look at research when you're researching the schools you're considering. See if they have, see what financial aid options are available.
Yeah.
If they have loans, I think that's a good option because most people I know went the other option where they went through a private lending organization and got like a loan and they had to get a guarantor and to prove that they can pay back and all that. So I think that's a good option where you don't have to get a guarantor and the interest rates are slightly lower.
Yeah.
I think typically the American students get that. They have like financial aid that they get from the government where they don't need a guarantor, they just get loans. Usually we aren't eligible for that, but some schools have some kind of package available. So you can ask.
And they might not even have that on their site, so reach out to the financial aid office again. Ask. Ask. And shall be given it to you.
Yup.
Yeah. That's that for funding. Is there anything else that one is covered?
For funding? Yeah, I think we've got everything for funding. If you have any questions, if you have anything that you would like to see related to funding that we didn't cover, you can comment put a comment in the comment section or send us an email.
Comment below.
Yeah. Send us an email. So the next thing we're going to cover is the course curriculum. So I think when you are applying to schools, assuming you know what you want to study, you have an idea of what you want to study, you should go through the course curriculum to see if it matches your desires, your interests, your goals, and see if they cover specific things you want to study. So if you are looking to go into a research aligned career, so if you're looking to go for a master's along the way and eventually go for your PhD, that means you are more you like research, you want to work in research,
You want to teach.
Exactly. A curriculum that's more research focused, you would enjoy that better. And that curriculum will look like you have to write a lot of papers, you have to give a lot of presentations on the work you're doing, and you might be required to put out one or two publications, or not required, but it will be helpful. All those come together depending on if you're applying for a grad school, for a master's or PhD. All those would help your application. Now, however, if you're looking to go into a professional career, the papers and all that, they won't really count for you as much because the skills that you gain when you're doing that is different from the skills you gain when you're in a professional environment. So if you're working in research, you're gaining like research. All those are helpful, but if your curriculum is more focused on like presentations, like public speaking skills, effective communication skills, written and oral skills, project management skills, those will serve you more in the workplace. And then depending on what courses are covered, so if you are going into a field that's very skills oriented, you're going to IT for instance, that's very, very skills oriented, you need to look for a curriculum that's focuses on the skills teaching you those skills and just exactly skills that are relevant in the industry. Not just teaching you the skills, but gives you an opportunity to apply the skills. So where you can work on projects and then you can showcase your projects such that at the end of your program you will have like a portfolio of projects that you can speak on or that you can show to say this is what I've worked on and this is what demonstrates what I can do and this is how I can add to your organization. But if you don't really know what you want, then you might just end up going for a research based curriculum and then you do so much work and you realize that's not really helping me in my day-to-day job now. So you'll be better off doing something that adds value to you. And some programs also offer internships. Offer internships in the sense that it's a part of the curriculum where you get a grade for your internship. It replaces a class. That way it's you're gaining experience and it helps you in the long run when you're also applying for a full-time job. Some schools might provide you with an internship. It could be paid, it could be unpaid, but it's helpful if it's part of the curriculum. So that's another thing I think people need to look out for.
Yeah, I think that really goes back to the topic we discussed in the first episode about you knowing what you want to do. Like, it's important for you to decide, do I want to work right after school, or do I want to go to grad school or continue my education? Because that goes into play to the kind of courses that you take and the kind of opportunities that you seek out. It's important if you want to work after school to at least have some kind of internship. Like, people want to know that you can work in the professional environment and you can function with other people and not just be reading and researching. So figure out what you want so you are not wasting money on
wasting time
and wasting money and time on an education that will not help you in the long run. No knowledge is lost, but it's important to have the right skills to pursue
And
the
the right
goals that you want.
experiences.
Yeah.
So that's that about curriculum.
Look at the curriculum, and once again, if you're not sure, reach out to the professors, reach out to current students to understand exactly what the course entails. So,
the other thing to consider would be the location of the school. We also talked about this a little bit in our last video. So, do you want your school could either be located in a small town, or it could be located in the middle of the city, or it could be located close enough to a city. Schools that are typically located in the city or close to the city they are good proximity to big organizations and big corporations. So, for instance, if you were in that program that had an internship as part of your requirements, it would be easy for you to have access to those companies. They are right there. They might come to your school for recruiting, or you have access to go and talk to them and show them what you can do. However, if your school is in the middle of nowhere, unless you would typically have a career center, which we're going to talk about in a little bit, but unless they come to your school for career fairs, it will be difficult to apply to those companies, in the sense that when you're applying online, you're invisible, you're competing with bunch of other people. However, if you are close to them, in the sense that you get face time, you get to interact with these companies more than you would if your school was like far away. It helps. So that I think is one thing to consider. It doesn't mean that if your school is far away, companies don't come. No, a lot of really, really good schools are actually in the middle of nowhere. They are farther away from the cities.
Yeah.
But because companies are going to recruit like good talent, they are willing to go
all
the way to go and recruit.
Yeah.
But then there are also schools that are not considered like the higher ranked schools, and they are close to cities, and they still employ graduates. So it just depends. That's one thing to consider, like the proximity to companies and the opportunities that are available.
Yeah. I mean, you also want to think about your social life, because everything is not just read. Okay, so now that we've considered the location of the school, another thing to consider, and I believe we're at number 5 now, is the career center. So a lot of people actually don't look at this, but it's very, very important for you to look at the career center of your school and the opportunities that they offer in school, and also in preparing you for after college. So you want to look out for things like, do they have regular workshops on resumes? Do they have networking opportunities with alumni or with companies that they recruit from? Also, do they have regular career fairs, or do they have partnerships with bigger schools that have regular career fairs?
If they have career fairs, what kind of companies are coming to those
What kind of companies are coming? Are they companies that you see yourself working in, or are they companies that are applicable to your major or your industry? So there are some schools where there are lots of accounting people that come. If you're a computer science major, you want to consider, do they have opportunities for people in the STEM? In STEM courses and all of that. So little things like that, you want to take a look at your career center, make sure that they have opportunities for you to develop when you're in school, and opportunities to help your career progress and give you a stepping stone.
Yeah, I think we should also provide like some foundational knowledge on what a career center is.
Sure.
Schools in Nigeria don't have career centers, because typically, career center here, every school should have a career center.
If your school does not have a career center, don't apply there, because they are not thinking about your future.
A career center is basically a department in the school that works to prepare you for your future career. So works to prepare you for life after graduation, working. So they would have career advisors who would look through your resume, who would give you advice, who would coach you on interviews. They would also host career fairs. Career fairs are like fairs or events.
They're events where companies
come to
and
recruit.
they recruit.
Yeah. So we talked. I think we mentioned career fairs earlier, and we also talked about that in our location, where companies come to your school to recruit. So those events are usually hosted by the career fair and the career center. And depending on your school, they would also have, like my school used to have a partnership with international office, so they would host career centered events that are related to international students. So what to consider when you are applying for jobs as an international student. So those are all roles of the career center. And just look at how active the career center is and what the chances are after graduation of getting a job.
They should also have good connections with alumni and with multiple industries that the students need access to. Some schools also offer study abroad programs. So if you're looking to study, abroad, India abroad, you come from Nigeria,
That's another thing.
I want to study elsewhere. Your career center will also have information about that. So take a look and see what kind of opportunities that they have. If you're studying something like foreign affairs, foreign languages, international politics, you want to make sure that they have opportunities for you. International business, they require you to do like a semester abroad. Some programs don't require you to do that. So you want to make sure that those opportunities are there. If your course is international something, make sure that they have an opportunity for you to actually go internationally. So
and in that same vein, I would also say this is not exactly what this is career center itself, but with your program, you should also look at the graduate placement rate. So how fast do graduates get jobs after graduation, and where do the graduates work? So a lot of programs will also put that out. That's if you're going for a program that's more professional, they will put that out there like as part of their. You typically see this with like the business schools, as that's how they boost their enrollment. So that's what they used to draw you like this. You have a 95% graduate placement rate. That means after graduation, most of 95% of our graduates get placed on a job within like 2 months of graduation. So that's another thing to consider. You want to see like where the graduates are working, that's the alumni, previous students
you want
of
to
the
see
school, where
the
they're
kind of
working.
industries they're working
the kind of positions they're working in,
the kind of pay that they get.
Exactly, that gives you an idea of what to expect and what you could potentially be doing after graduation. So the career center might have that, but it would also be under your department's websites too.
And also, even if you're going to grad school, your career center can help you with that. So rewriting your letter of purpose. What's it called?
For like if you're applying to grad school, your career center helps with that.
Yeah, my career center helps with that. I think they do that in my school too. Like your statement of purpose. Statements of purpose. They review that for you. Review that for you and talk to people. They'll even read your recommendation letters. Just try to prepare you for your career. Anything you don't know, by the time outside of anything professional you don't know, the career center like really sets you up they give you advice and work you through whatever you don't know. So that's what a typical career center should do. So not just lost to any jobs. Some like my school, they even give us business cards, so you can use for networking and all that. Oh, okay. Well,
that's like those are like
they make business cards for you.
You can apply for free. That's like one of the.
I mean, that's a little bit too much, but that's okay.
I mean, it's nice when it's
nice,
like, oh, here's my business card. You can call anybody can try to call you, but
what you gonna do your business card? What got your business card?
Your phone number, yes. My phone number, your email address.
Yeah.
You don't know when you're
actually it's one of those things that can actually tell you that if you want to go the extra step, go ahead and do it. Like now. Business card because I don't have money to waste. Sorry.
It's for free. It is for free.
So mine wouldn't have been.
That's like a perk.
So So that's that about career centers. Take a look at the opportunities that they have. Take a look at their connections, the kind of companies that come to recruit from your prospective school, and in general, just make sure that the school is structured in such a way where they prepare you for life even beyond college. So that's that. And then last topic. Number 6 is
the ranking of your school. We touched on this in our last video as well, where we mentioned that the ranking of your school doesn't really matter as much. Sometimes it does, but you don't need to go to an Ivy League school or a really high school to succeed. No. Going to one of the really highly rated schools helps you a lot, but it's also very expensive. But then we also mentioned earlier about like, the public versus private schools and flagship schools. A lot of the flagship schools are really good schools, so they might not be in like the top 10, but they are also in like top 50, which is good enough in America. But that doesn't mean that you won't be successful. It doesn't mean you won't find a job. Now, depending on the school you go to, if your school is like a no-name school, nobody knows it might be a bit more difficult to find a job. Your career center might not attract a lot of
recruiters,
good organizations, but it doesn't mean that you can't find a job. So ranking should be, I think ranking is like the last on our list just because
it's not as important, but it helps to go to a school that is well known. So keep in mind that some schools are well known in certain regions
areas.
Or in certain states. They might not be known nationally, and that doesn't mean that they're not good. If they are good within your region, that's good enough because chances are you are getting a job within your region anyway. So it helps.
And then schools, we also mentioned this in our last video, schools are also good for setting programs as well. So they might not be, you should look at, if you really want to consider rankings, don't look at rankings in general. Look at rankings for your program. So if you want to go to a school that's highly ranked for what you're going to study, then you want to look at the best schools for that program, not the best schools in the US, if that makes sense. Because the best schools in the US, your school might be like number 80 or something. But for your program that you want to study, it might be like top 10, which is what matters. So,
or if you want to go to a certain state, like you know where you want to live, you don't want to live where there's cold. I was in Texas, where it's warm all year round. Look for the best schools in Texas. Don't go looking for the best schools all over America, and then start looking for Texas and it's all the way at 50. And you think your school isn't good. No. So ranking is not as important, but it's just something to take into consideration, because you also want to go to a prestigious school as well,
where you can be proud of it. There's like school pride is a really big thing in America.
So that's what we had for today's episode. Again, if you guys have any comments or you have things, other tips that everybody should be aware of, leave them in the comment below. I'm sorry.
The other thing I wanted to mention is just like segue. When you're applying to schools, reach out. We talked about this earlier about asking for information. But reach out if you don't know who to ask for information. Your first point of call should always be the professor in your department that you can ask questions. If nobody responds to your emails, because sometimes they might be busy, they might not respond. You could also look for students. Some schools have like program ambassadors, they have international ambassadors. I was an international ambassador in my school, so that means for like every Nigerian student, like, they had my information, they could contact me. Some schools have that, not all schools have that, so you might have to do a little bit of digging. Like when I was applying, I really wanted to talk to somebody to ask questions that a professor couldn't answer, or basic things about like day-to-day living or what the course is like. And I couldn't find anybody, so I had to go on LinkedIn, start reaching out to people, start finding students, and it took a while for me to actually find one person who was willing to talk to me. But then that also plays a role in when you're choosing schools to consider. If you can find someone to talk to and they tell you some things about the school, then you realize, I don't think I really like this, or I don't think it gives you like insider info, things you don't know, as opposed to from like when you're just researching and googling on the internet. That helps a lot. So always reach out to people for information. It sounds like common knowledge or common sense, but not everybody knows to do that. So that's all I had to chip in, and we're officially done now. So.
Well, that's all we had for the episode today. Thank you so much for watching, and if you have anything that might be helpful to other people in the community, or just tips, tricks of things that you considered when you're applying, feel free to leave them in the comments below. And if you like this video, you want more of this topic, hit the like button. Or if there are things that you want us to cover, leave it in the comments.
If there's anything we didn't cover you want to see, please write in the comments.
Send us an email, and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you in the next video.
This is Nigeria. Look how I'm living now. Look how I'm living now. Everybody be criminal. This is Nigeria. Look how we living now.